Man, this hair is something wild. So, what's up, social media world? So, this is actually the exciting life of real estate. I know I make it look super glamorous all the time, but hanging out at the house tonight and working on rental comps. So, this work sesh brought to you by Zevia. This stuff's actually really good. I'm not a big soda drinker, but as it's doing 75 hard, need stuff that's obviously not like junk food, and I'm really not a huge fan of like diet sodas. But this doesn't have a lot of the aspartame stuff in there, and it gives me something flavorful because my life for the past 45 days has been water and coffee. So there's worse things. But cool, little bit of background. So had a lead or someone reach out to me today and looking to start building a rental investment portfolio. And so pretty commonplace right now. Have a lot of people that have been sitting on cash for a bit, and I'm actually gonna just tilt this. Try not to have it topple over on me. But a lot of people that have been in cash for a while, and the magic question of, well, I am not making a great return on my money and thinking about investing in real estate. So little bit of backstory there is the housing market in Dallas-Fort Worth has been insane this year. So across the board, we are seeing about 18% year over year appreciation. So you're talking about stuff that we have not seen in a long time, or actually appreciation we've seen really at that level ever. Normal we'd see is about 5 to 6%, sometimes even 3 or 4. So what that means is that homes in Dallas-Fort Worth are appreciating about 3 times the average rate of what we've seen traditionally in the past. So when you're looking at interest rates and things like that at a traditional bank, or putting it in T-bills or things like that are only the interest rates extremely low, you're not making a ton of money. And as we've seen recently with the cost of goods and services going up, as well as inflation, pretty much the same thing, that your money is actually depreciating if it's just sitting in a savings account, because the 0.5% or whatever you get off of a savings account or a high interest checking account, so you're talking about 1 to 2%, is not keeping up with inflation. So that money is actually devaluing unless you're investing it there. And so that's simple economics. This is not a tip of where you should buy or what you should do, but this individual I talked to, looking to invest in a certain area of Dallas, the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, reached out about a specific property and said, I want to see, what sold in the area. So what comps have sold, but I also want to see what the rental comps are. What that means in lay people's terms, or in the world, just talking through it. Comps are just a list of the properties that have sold, comparable, just shortened comps. Are properties that have sold recently that are similar in year, bedroom, bathroom, makeup, things like that. And so while it's not an exact gauge of what a property is actually worth, it is in fact a good guidestone of what that property could be valued at. And so it's a good way, my friend David, just talking about comps, man. Talking about real estate math, our favorite thing to talk about. So David Oren, who is a realtor with KW, who is an unbelievable guy, great teacher. I've learned a lot from the guy, and a pretty good socializer as well, joining us. But talking about comps, so why that's important. So obviously don't want to overpay for a house, and definitely if it's something that is priced that's below what the comparable properties are sold for, you may in fact, if it's sat there on market for a while, maybe able to get a deal. Maybe you'll buy something under market value, gain equity, gain value very, very quickly on that property. But why that's important to an investor is when you're looking at purchasing a property, you want to see, number one, what the cost of entry is. What is it going to cost you to get in that? What is that house actually valued at? That is going to set what obviously your payments, your closing costs, things like that. But it's also going to set, unless you're paying full cash for it, of what your loan amount's going to be. So what are you going to actually have to take out to bundle together with the cash you're bringing to close of what you're actually going to buy that property for. Why that matters is because when you rent said property out, what you're looking for is you are looking for to cover that mortgage and any debt servicing, any different bills, utilities, things like that, repair, maintenance. And then you're wanting to see cash flow off of that. So you're wanting to actually make money on that property, not just cover your bills, but actually make money as well as that home appreciates over time. So looking at the comps of what those properties are worth and what they sold for is just a baseline with it. Now from there, for an investor, it's important to see what the rental comps are. So the same way we look at comps as far as value, we want to see the rental comps, which tells us how much of the homes in this area are renting for. This goes back a little bit like I talked about with the talking through with what that debt's going to be. Because if you're looking in an area, and let's say for simple math, that the average house in that area is, we'll say ballpark, $400,000. Well, let's say that you're going to bring 20% down, so $40,000 or $400,000. You're going to bring $80,000 down, plus closing costs, everything like that. Realistically, what you're going to do is take out a mortgage for $320,000. Now, going through and breaking those things down, looking at what that, a mortgage broker, a mortgage lender will tell you what those numbers are, is what you're going to pay monthly. And there's different ways, different loan programs, different things like that. Now you want to be sure, now running those rental comps, to make sure that the rental amount to that those rents that are coming in are in fact going to cover that debt servicing amount. So if you're looking at a property and you're like, well, I can get a steal on this house at $400,000, it's actually a great deal. It's underpriced of what the market's saying. I'm getting a heck of a screaming deal on it. But and you look at it and you say, my mortgage is going to be $3,000 a month. If the rental comps are only coming in at $2,500 a month, you are actually negative on that. You are losing money every month. You're now paying two mortgages. So you're paying if you have a primary residence, and then you're going to go through and actually pay for the remaining balance on that mortgage, plus repairs, plus saving, plus everything like that for future repairs, improvements. You're actually losing money every single month. So in that case, a house would not be worth it. Now, if you were to go through and look at that same neighborhood and $400,000 average home, you've got debt servicing of about, we'll go back to that number, $3,000, and everything is running for $4,000 a month. Well, that's fantastic. You now are going to get your $3,000. You're going to be able to put money. Oh, David. I knew. David, see, it's very true. That's a whole nother, so David brought up Burr, so, which is a whole nother thing that we can dive into. So essentially talking what David meant by, I'm not going to go, I can't even think right now, but Burr is essentially going through and buying a property for those that are looking to go purchase a home that maybe is in need of some repair, that is underpriced or essentially underpriced, going through, taking money, repairing that, increasing the value of the home, bringing those rental comps up, refinancing, so going through and having it reassess the value of that, assuming that those repairs have now raised the value in that, you gain equity in the home. You then can take a cash out refi or restructure your debt to pull your initial capital out or more money out and actually go then and then use that to build a portfolio or purchase. So a lot more moving parts there. You're able to do that, definitely able to do that. I see a lot of people that do it and still doing it in a crazy market. Buy, yes, thank you, David, on top of it. So for those that can't read the comments, is buy, repair, rent, refi, and repeat. So very, very commonplace, especially if you're looking to buy something under market value in this market, because if you're going into a quote unquote move-in ready house, you are going to be paying normal market rates. However, with that BRRRR method, what you're hoping for is buying something at a steep discount or severely under market value, putting in work that will then raise that value to equal market value or above that, and then to go rent that out, get cash flow from it, have that increased value, refinance, and then repeat and purchase over and over and over again. That's how you see those people that you may know. Everyone's got that uncle or the cousin or friend down the street or the guy that you play golf with. It's like, yeah, I've got 19 rental houses here in Dallas, Fort Worth, or anywhere else. BRRRR is a very, very common method of doing that, especially for those, and I've seen a lot of people, and David, I'm sure, has a clientele that's really loving these historically low interest rates because of the fact that if they started this model several years ago, they're actually being able to refinance out with huge equity gains, but also to get those interest rates down pretty low. Kenny, what's up, buddy? So yeah. So I had a guy looking up in what I'll define as far north suburbs that's looking for a house. So as a realtor, part of my job is to go through and see what those properties are worth. And then also on the back end to see which ones will actually fit his criteria as far as what he's looking to make on the property or what he's looking to cash flow on the property. I get people that ask me about it. It definitely is an individual thing. So if you're looking at it, I get people that ask me and say, hey, I want to buy a house to rent out, very turnkey, want to put some money to work, and then just become a landlord, or I'm going to have a property manager take care of it, things like that. How much money should I expect to make on it? How much, what's a good deal? What am I actually making money on? Everybody has a different threshold on that. There are some people that are more opportunistic and say that they are going to use, like David mentioned, that BRRRR method and go through there and go and buy something that maybe a wholesale deal, or go through and buy something that needs a lot of love, a lot of repair, and gain value that way. And then you're obviously going to get quite a bit more return on that money. But I'll use the baseline of it. You definitely want to, obviously, like I said, cover your debt servicing. So you want to be able to pay that mortgage without having to come out of your pocket on it. I would tell you too, that it's probably a good idea to then also get to be financially wise and use some of that money, and it's not straight profit, to take that money to go back and do a set aside, because inevitably things will break, things will need to be replaced. HVAC units, water heaters, sinks, floors, carpets, you got to turn the units over, things like that. So if you just take all that money, let's say that you are making $500 a month after you pay your mortgage on the property, and you just take all that $500 and spend that money, well, when that water heater needs to be replaced, or the roof needs to be replaced, or you got to spend $6,000 in an HVAC unit, that rental income is probably not going to suffice for that, and you're actually going to have to dip into your own pocket to cover those repairs, because ultimately things like people say, well, what about a deposit? Well, if I was to sit there and pay, if you were as a renter paid a deposit and the air conditioning broke because it's 10 years old, you probably are not going to want to tell the landlord, be like, yes, please take my deposit money, because I did nothing wrong. I replaced the air filters. I did exactly what's in my lease, and they go through and your air conditioning breaks in the middle of July. That is not the tenant's responsibility in most leases. It's the landlord's responsibility. And if you're not setting aside money to deal with some of those things, you then will have to come out of pocket for that. So I say that you set aside some of that, what that cash flow is to go set aside for future repairs. And then for some people, they will set a number and say, hey, I want to make at least $400 a month of free cash flow, $200, $300, whatever that number is for you. So that's why having these comp numbers are really important, to find out not only what you're going to pay for the property, but also to make sure that if you were to get that property under contract, as well as do any improvements or things like that, and then rent it out, that those market rents are actually going to capture enough where it is a sound investment and you're making money. Instead of just buying a second house and paying a second mortgage and dealing with all the fun things of being a landlord. So that's what I'm doing tonight. My Longhorns lost, so that was pretty rough. I think there's some obvious holes there. Bijan Robinson is the absolute truth. Guy is a killer. Not literally, he's a super, super good faith-based kid, at least from what I see on the surface, and he is just an absolute beast on the field. So have a lot, they've done a lot for recruiting this year. So obviously you lose the number 12 team in the nation, tough. However, yeah, never want to see the Longhorns lose. But such is life. So that'll be my night. Going to catch up on some emails. I'm actually doing some stuff as far as getting some new systems set up. Very exciting night here in Rowlett, Texas. I think me and my wife are going to have some bunless burgers so we can stay on track for our diet and fitness and mental toughness program. And then I still got to read. So part of that challenge that we're doing too is we got to read 10 pages a day, which is not very hard. I actually like reading a lot. So I am a few pages short on a book called Titan by Ron Chernow about the life of John D. Rockefeller, which I know to everyone sounds super, even more exciting than running comps on a Saturday night. But it's been a great book. I think that, number one, I like history books. I don't think that. I know that. But it's funny how we can see patterns in history that actually repeat over and over and over again. And if you learn and get really good at seeing and recognizing patterns, it allows you to stay ahead of things or start to see signs of things that will come up again because it is very cyclical. But yeah, so done with that one. That'll be, I think, I think we're actually in the 20s now. I say we, I mean I. I think that's the 20th book this year. So I have a goal of reading 24 books this year, 2 a month. And so I'm on track for that, which will be good. Maybe 22 is where I'm at, but yeah. So all exciting, fun stuff, at least for me. This is the super fun side of selling Sunset and $1 million listing, insert whatever town that you enjoy watching. This is a lot of what goes into our job, and this is the services that we provide for our clients. And so not always the most, jump off the page cool thing about it, but I like to nerd out on the numbers because I think you can tell a lot from numbers, and especially when you're looking at this as a transaction, an investment, not necessarily an emotional decision. The numbers is what you have to go off of. And so, yeah. So hope that everyone else is well. I hope you have a fantastic evening and the rest of your weekend is action-packed. But yeah, that's all for me. So hopefully this is helpful for those of you that saw it, and those that will see it on IGTV and Facebook. Going live on both right now. So be good, be well. And if you are looking to buy, sell, lease, invest, just have questions about real estate here in the state of Texas and or specifically the DFW Metroplex, I would love to throw my hat in the ring and try to bring value to you and your family, whatever that looks like, whether it's a transaction, whether it's an education. I would love to bring value to you. And then I am not too proud to ask that referrals are a huge part of my business. And if you know anybody, a lot of people are moving to Dallas-Fort Worth, but if you know anybody, would love to help them out as well. So be good, be blessed, have a great evening. We'll see y'all later.